From coast to coast, I'm your host, Palma N'Sheluvzit, and welcome to Oriac Live. We're about to kick off this new year on Oriac Live with a topic that will elevate you throughout 2023. And to do that, let's welcome the global artist for Redken and an inner and outer beauty specialist, Adina Doss. How are you today?
Hi.
How you doing all the way over in Cali?
I mean, it's Cali.
There's some sunshine. I need a little bit over here in Toronto, and you're joining us, so you're making this brighter than ever for 2023 to start off a show with you. If people have not been introduced to Adina Doss, let me tell you, my little intro was not enough. You need to go on her Instagram. You need to be a part of this world because this is not just about being behind the chair, Adina. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
So we need to understand as artists, hairstylists, barbers, anyone in the beauty industry, we touch people for a living. And as I like to say, we touch people with a living with our clothes on, might I mention.
Right.
But it's energy. I feel that we exchange with the person that we're offering a service to. And your inner and outer beauty specialties and helping us to find emotional and mental stability throughout our day, your tips, the energy that you share through your social media pages are absolutely resonating with not only myself, but many other artists in our industry. Adina, tell me how you got started to connect with that and bring it forward to everyone around you.
I've been in the industry for a long time, and it really is about we learn things about ourselves, and we're growing and changing and evolving constantly throughout our craft. And there was a point in my career where I just wanted more, and I wasn't sure what that looked like. I wasn't sure where I was going with it, but I just started to do some deep diving work for myself personally. And as I was doing that, again, we have our opportunities with our guests that sit in our chair and they ask us how we're doing. And I couldn't wait but to share what it was that I was doing for myself, which was I started seeing a spiritual psychologist, and I started peeling away these layers that I didn't even know were around me. And I started reading a lot of books. I'm fully into like self-care books and how to improve how I show up on a daily basis, not only for myself, but everybody I come into contact with. Then there was some fun stuff, like I took a crystal reading course, and I took a Reiki certification. And along that journey, I realized as I was having the conversations with my guests, like the value of what I was doing and sharing what I was doing with each guest. And then I had the people that were, they were like, I'm good. And I was like, okay, well, and then I'd tell someone else, and I was like, ooh, I'm taking a crystal course. Do you want me to play with you? Like I did a 2-year apprentice program, personal apprenticeship
Wow.
program. And that 2-year apprenticeship program looked like if anybody was interested or willing, then I would just have a beautiful conversation with them. So they would pick a crystal, and I was able to share with them what it was and why it was that specific crystal was resonating with them. And I was able to have these intuitive conversations, and it started to crack this idea open of this is a service. This is me. I'm doing something for them, just like someone would come in for a conditioning treatment for their hair. I'm doing a conditioning treatment for their spirit. And after 2 years, I deemed it as an actual service, and I started providing these services behind the chair by charging for them. It was additional time, additional energy. And then with the momentum of that, it was, well, I work for this brand called Redken, and we talk about living best. And how is it that I can integrate what it is that I'm doing over here into education to bring this knowledge to salons? And, you know, I started off by going, I'm not trying to make everybody a hair witch, and I'm not trying to get everybody to do like crystal readings, but how does this, how is this? And it was really about the evolution of me bringing this into education. And I'm happy to say at like this point, I've figured out I wrote a program called the Live Best series. And the idea behind the Live Best series is, in the idea of service, we are here serving regularly and day in and day out, and not just our guests, but our salon teams, anybody that we come into contact with, our family members and what have you. And so in the idea of service, how is it that I'm serving myself first? Because I can't serve unto others unless I am serving myself first. So
Right.
that's where the education portion came out, and I was able to share actual really vital tools that people can use and utilize behind the chair to make sure that they have that sustainability, that they can manage their energy day in and day out in between each client. And it's just been really exciting. And the evolution of all of it has just been, let's go.
I am so for it. I am here for it. I felt the exact same way about 7, 8 years ago. I was looking for something deeper as well. And yet it was right in front of me the whole time. I'm known in the industry as an avant-garde hair artist, now your host. And I was creating these beautiful pieces. I made a collection called The Mask, and every piece of the mask was a different color. And I had no idea at that moment that I was actually doing color therapy. I was expressing whatever emotion I was feeling through the art of hair. You mentioned Hair Witch. Convert us all. I really do. I believe that, because as much as, okay, yes, it's people feel it's all smoke and mirrors. It's not all smoke and mirrors. What we do is real.
The hesitation, I think, in some of this is the idea of spirituality is a little bit misunderstood.
Yes, I agree with you.
The idea of the practices seem a little like woo.
Yeah.
And so I did, also I'm still learning and constantly learning and learning more information. And I'm this close to being certified as energy codes, and understanding the bridging of the gap between science and spirituality, that breath and your chakra system and everything that I know works is not woo. It's science proves that as I take breaths down my central channel, that I'm actually stabilizing my energy field. And as we come into contact with all of these guests or on the road or meetings, and this isn't just for hairdressers, but this isn't, the hairdressers are my industry. So I'm going to stay in my industry, and I'm going to share as much as I can with each individual to help give them the tools that they need, not only technical skill, because I'm a design artist as well, styling, all the things, but now I have this tool to help them like really take down the angst and the anxiety and the overwhelm that hairdressers feel, or the hairdresser fatigue, all these words that have come out since the world shut down, and going back into the field and teaching and asking salons, what is it that you're feeling right now? And they're just like, overwhelmed. And so, these tools and these tactics can really and truly help an individual if implemented. And, they have a commitment to integrating these things on not only a daily basis, but like a momentary basis to really balance their own energy and balance themselves as they interact with different individuals and clear the energy before the next guest comes in. And there's so much to it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're nailing it right on the head. We're forgetting, if you feel like you're looking and you're searching for that something else, Adina, you nailed it right on the head when you said, be in those moments, release that energy before you bring in the next guest that sits in your chair, because you want to feel as stable as possible. We receive so much energy from our client as much as they receive it from us. Can you share maybe a few strategies with us now on how to actually release that client that maybe came in anxious and kind of threw that energy on us?
Well, it's all in the preparation. That would be a definite. We all have that guest, and the one that we see their name on the book and we're like, and so what we want to do is, instead of being anxious ourselves and worried about what the interaction is going to be, is what we do is we stabilize ourselves and give ourselves this permission space that we know when that person walks in and they have their life and their scenario, that I am able to hold space for them, as opposed to me meeting them where they're at. Because then then they can meet us, and we are the stabilizers of their energy. And we make sure that the interaction that we have is for their, guests come into the salon so that they can do that, that thing. So that they can relax. It is a reprieve from their own life. It is an opportunity for their own self-care. It's an opportunity for us to provide safe space and gentle, kind, loving, and all of the things that hairdressers do. But we have to make sure that we're maintaining our own energy in the midst of that. And so you want tools is one of them. It's called the central channel breath. And it's really, if we want to do it together right now,
I love it.
you just take a deep breath from above your head. We have to have all it takes is breath, guys, a wild imagination, and an intention. So breath, wild imagination, intention. So we take a breath from above our head and we move it down in through our system, and we touch the top of our head, and then we touch the middle of our brain, and we touch down our face and into our neck, and we touch down into the center of our chest, and we touch down into the top of our belly, and then we touch down into our lower abdomen, and then we touch down all the way down through our legs, and then we breathe that breath out. Then we take the next breath from below, and we do the same thing on the way up. So take a deep breath all the way up the legs, shooting all the way up the central part of the body, and then breathe that breath out through the top of our head. And then one more from the top of our head as we stabilize our own energy with that third breath from above and moving it. So wild imagination, you're just imagining you're moving that breath down the body and through, and you're squeezing into each one of the central channel points. And as you squeeze down the body and you push that breath down through the bottom of your feet. And once you do that, you can already feel, even how quick that was, how your system starts to tingle and your body starts to react. It's because you're taking control of the mind that has a tendency to create thoughts that aren't fully present.
As I take a deep breath out. Adina, I wish that more and more people, not only in our industry, but even the clients that we touch, can take those 3 breaths and connect them with their inner self for that intention to move forward every day in their lives with positivity. And as I always say, to lead with love. That moment for many people who are listening to our podcast, I hope, even though you didn't get to see us, but to close your eyes. I closed my eyes, and in those moments, I wasn't on a show. I was just here listening to Adina's voice and letting that just guide me for the moment, because I can stop crushing espresso cups in the back room when I get anxious for that next client that comes and sits in my chair that may make me feel off balance. Because that's what I used to do. I used to grab my styrofoam cup and I used to squish it and be like, okay, now breathe to 10. And, I was still doing that with the wrong intent.
Yeah, Mike, so I'm just to interlude, but even hearing you, like the 10 deep breaths, just for the reason that you were, right? But that we do things and we are doing things and we don't understand the why we're doing things. One of the biggest things that we could always understand is the why, right? Kids ask why all the time. Why? Well, be the adult that asks why all the time. Why when I'm in the midst of a shampoo, do I sometimes feel like I need to take a deep breath out? What you're doing is you're transferring energy, because we're touching their head. Yeah. We're touching their crown chakra. We're touching their third eye chakra. We're touching their throat chakra as we're massaging through. And what we're doing is, when we can give a shampoo with intention of releasing anything that's troubling them as that conduit, when you feel like breathing out, it's because your body knows that it doesn't want that energy, and it's all like, no, thank you. Yeah. Right. Yes. So that's the why behind why we need to go crush a can or crush a styrofoam cup. Yeah. So you don't hurt yourself. And why we're taking 10 deep breaths is because we're trying to find or gravel towards something that's going to help us feel better. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you've experienced this yourself among so many other stylists. And people watching here where we'll have someone come in and just say, I broke up with my boyfriend and they're a blonde and all of a sudden they want to go red. Or somebody passed away and that was so close to their lives. And again, dramatic haircut. And there's all these things that sort of sit in our chair, and it's not just about the haircut. And we receive that energy when they walk through the door because we don't know what's about to walk in. Now, Adina, you mentioned that you studied crystals as well. I'm a big believer in crystals. So big that I have them throughout my salon. And I also believe that cleansing the space is important as well. And how do you feel about integrating that into other people's salons as you share with us
I
about
mean, everything
releasing
is,
energy?
I'll always share some opportunities. And one of the things, if you have a no smoke salon, there are actually sprays, cleansing sprays
Yeah,
that you can spray around your chair and you can spray around the space. And again, all this takes is a wild imagination. And as hairdressers, we have opportunity. We are a wild imagination. So live into that and live into the playfulness of it and be silly with it. And you're like, ha, 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 and do things to set the intention of clearing the space, because that's all it takes. And so crystals are a great, I have tons of them sitting right in front of me. But crystals are a great earth tool, right? To help support whatever it is that the system is needing. And as beautiful as they are, and they have that support system, it is not a mandatory. I mean, it always feels real good though.
right.
So just know that none of this takes anything. This doesn't take a tool. That is a beautiful tool. It looks pretty, it acts pretty, it does pretty things. But also know that like you can do it with just thought. You can do it with just breath. You can do it like open the salon doors at the end of every day. Set the intention to move any energies out of the space that no longer serves for the highest and greatest good, and push those energies out the door. So now when people walk in the next day, that there's a clean palette there for
Yes,
them.
yes.
At the beginning of the day, if you can be the first one there and you open the door and set the intention, today's going to be a beautiful day. I'm, wildly successful in every step that I take. I'm going to have beautiful conversations with each individual that I come into contact with. I'm a clean and clear conduit. Like all of these things, there's so much to it. And these are some of the stuff that I do have on my Wednesday lives at 9
I was
a.m.
just about to say that. I'm all about your Wednesday lives. And last week, you said something and it so resonated with me. You mentioned how you were dropping your child off at school and you took a different route.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you how often I do that without even making the connection that I'm doing it because I need to shift my energy. So it's the same idea about like opening up the front door and starting with, the purpose of my day with good intent. And I did it that day. After I heard you speak, I had to go out and pick up my coworker and I brought her in, but I went a different way. And I said, wow, I'm doing this. And I did it with the intent of to shift the energy for the rest of our day. And let me tell you, I had such a wonderful day. There was something light about the air. And you know what? Even if somebody doesn't believe it, I dare you to try it.
Right.
That's from me to our audience. I dare you to try it because you just don't know if you're looking for that change. If you're looking to understand your purpose for your day, switch it up, honey. That's why we're here to kickstart it off. Right, Adina? Like it's just a little bit of a push just to say, you know what? I did something different. Let's see where the day goes.
Absolutely. It's the shift of the monotony is what it is.
Right.
And we find ourselves sometimes I hear these things from people outside of my current world when I go into salons, and it's like when I bring this awareness to them, the one girl had shared, I realize that sometimes I just get up, I go to work, I come home, I do what I'm supposed to do. I go to sleep, I wake up, I get up, I go to work, I come home, I do what I'm supposed to do. And they're stuck in this monotonous life. And she goes, and then sometimes like I'll have a moment where I like look around and it's like months have gone by and I'm not there. It's about not being present. It's about not It's about doing the same thing over and over again. It's just a part of a human condition. It's not a
Right.
bad thing. It just is. So
Yeah.
the faster we can create an awareness around it, the faster we can pay attention and bring ourselves back to the present moment and bring ourselves into focus with where we're at, what we're doing, and, squeeze into life and be fully present. We start to take control of our mind. We start to take control of our
Right.
life. And then we are the driver of our bus or our train or whatever it is that you want
Right.
to drive, right? Train,
Yeah. Yeah.
automobile.
Absolutely.
Drive your life with
Right.
intention and drive your life with purpose and drive your life with passion, because we're passionate individuals.
Right.
We are all passionate about who we are and what it is that we've come here to do. Get back to that passion, but we
Right.
have to do it with commitment to ourselves, and we have to do it with intention for ourselves and our life.
Yes, absolutely. I hear you when you say, like, stop living that Groundhog Day,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. As humans, we all want stability. We want that reassurance that this is what our day is, day in and day out. Yes, we like that. However, we don't know what's about to walk in our door. How many guests that come to visit us in our salons, we don't know what that person's actually going to bring to us. So staying grounded, like you said, is so important for our own souls, for us to be able to continue to serve. And one of my favorite books, The Big Magic, she mentions many times about driving forward, but your fear is always in the back seat. Because don't be afraid of fear, because fear is what drives your passion. It's healthy for it to be there, to actually make you feel grounded and know that you're alive. That's how I feel. I feel that that's that encourages me to go forward. People may say, "Oh, Palma, how do you do a hair show? You don't get nervous?" Of course, I get nervous. And to be able to have a topic of conversation that's really deep and a passionate topic for myself, because about my spirituality that I don't share very often with others, Adina, to be able to have this opportunity with you live, and for the public now to see that personal part about myself, there is an intimacy about this.
Well,
And you,
it's upgrading the level of service is what it's doing,
right,
right? It's bringing
absolutely,
service back to the service industry.
absolutely,
When I interview the salon staff and I go, okay, so why did you get into this industry? Like, let's go all the way back to the excitement of
yes,
why you got into this industry in the first place. And a lot of the hands go up, and it's like to make people feel good. And obviously, we're here to also make them look good through their hair,
yeah,
right? So that, and then there was a point in the industry where it became more about me and how good I am and how good my balayage is and how good my I'm a balayage specialist, and look how good I am, and I'm a design master, and
yeah,
yes, technical skill is important, and yes, we want to be really good at our craft, and yes, that education is really important, but let's remember what we got into it for. We got into it for them, to make them feel good. And the quality of service when you're present, and the quality of service when you are engaged with them and and their hair and their being, and asking those questions and upgrading the conversation to be about nothing but life, and our day in and day out, and see how they're feeling, right? You gave some examples earlier of very big life experiences, like a breakup, and what was the, or someone died.
absolutely,
Yes,
yeah,
those things are there, but even down to maybe they just had a crazy day at work. Maybe they're
right,
over swamped with emails from work. Maybe maybe they had a fight with their kid in the morning. Like,
right,
even the smallest of things is the opportunity to have them sit down, and you be that balancer, you be the stabilizer, you be the love, the light, the kindness, and the shifting of the energy, so that they can kind of away from that. But the only way that we can do that is if we're taking care of ourselves first. We have to fill up our own cup. I say, filleth up, but the cuppeth, and then the cuppeth runneth overeth. And I could say that there was a portion of my career where I was filling up my cup, but I was still like a teapot. I don't know which way I'm going here. But like a teapot. I
yeah,
was still trying to pour out
yeah,
versus filling up so much that I
yeah,
runneth overeth. And so I live and exude my life through self care, which is not selfish, but it's so that I can feel the abundance of that overflow so that I can give, right? And that quality service shows up and they feel it from the moment they walk in to the moment that they leave. Now, the advantage to the hairstylists, when they are full of uppeth, they are providing that quality service, they are fully present with that guest, they can shut out the busy of life. They can shut out the email list. They can shut out the to-do list of everything that might create overwhelm and be fully present while they're behind the chair, while they're in service. Now, if they, in that in-between time, in those windows of opportunity, maybe you have a gap in your day, that's a window of opportunity to stop, take that deep breath, exhale, do whatever busy work you might need to do in the in-between. And then when the next guest shows up, they're fully present in that experience with that guest. It's the power of presence and the power of bringing service back to the service industry.
Oh, Adina, I can listen to you all day. I tell you. Now, in saying that, thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you felt that through the camera. I meant that sincerely. Now, tell me, if somebody wanted to start learning more about this, tell us where they can find you.
Which area, which platform? So social media is, because we might not be in the same city, of course. So social media, I have my Instagram, which is mastery_a.d, which is my brand is Mastery, and the a.d is Adina Doss. I used to have AD, and everyone was like Mastery ad, and I was like, oh no, I'm not an ad, I'm Adina Doss. And then on the other side, more on the inner beauty side, I have my Mastery, which you'll find on this channel as well. There's a link to it, which is my Master Inner Beauty Collective. So those are the social channels. If you want more education behind some of this information, you can find that on the mastery_a.d, where every Wednesday morning I have a live, and I've been doing that live for almost 4 years now. I love it. It's small and mighty. Everyone that is on there, I have people that have been on it with me the entire time. I have people that come in and out on a weekly basis, but whoever is there, we always have a good time, where I share more a topic of conversation. I go into guided breath work, and then at the end of it, always fun to do a little bit of a power reading, where I pull a card and I'll share or impart what it is that I feel I need to share in that moment.
I love it. This was so informative. I hope our audience is just sucking up all this good vibe and throwing back at you, Adina, even more good vibes your way. Because as you have given, we have all received. And what we receive, we give back to you with love. And I mean that. I can't wait for everybody who hasn't been introduced to this to go on your Instagram. I can't tell you how far back I have gone on the Wednesday reads. And the little inserts that you share on your stories, they have made a difference in my life.
Oh, thank you.
And just made me feel seen. Because I always say, if you're not heard, you're not seen. So to feel that and connect with another hairstylist that is like-minded and feels that energy, for that I'm forever grateful for. And I truly thank you for being here today to talk with us.
Yeah, I always saw hope that we're like tapping on the door of somebody who this might just be a new idea, right? Well, the advantage of the Redken artist is if they are under the level loyalty plan, then they can always have me into their salons as well for one-on-one sessions.
Yeah, that's incredible. And again, being a Redken artist, I mean, you understand even like how I was tapping in a bit on the whole color therapy thing, right? Yeah. There has to be connection to that. Like last year I was a blonde. I was connected to that color for a reason. Going back to my natural, I have no color at all, a few little sparkles, and you know what those are, shining through. And I'm like, am I getting ready to make another transformation? And you totally get that. And I hope more and more people that sit in our chair can make that spiritual connection as well, because their hair artists are sharing those moments and those thoughts with them, right? To be connected to one
diving into self, which allows you to dive into your craft and your art. That's why we got into it. right? And to bring and light that fire of passion with it, like deep within your belly, and really like live into your what it is that we do every day. And it's live into it with drive, it's live into it with passion, it's live into it with like purpose. And so you're not really shifting anything about what you're currently doing. You're just kind of digging deeper for that creativity and that the full abundance of like living into your day-to-day life with um uh being stable and being full already, so that nothing else really disrupts you. Also, another opportunity, I'm going to go ahead and throw this one out there as well, is that one-on-one sessions via telephone. If someone wanted to, like a coaching call, someone wanted to ask some questions or dive deeper on what their first steps are, then I can also share that opportunity.
Well, Adina, on that note, thank you once again. And thank you to everyone who's been listening. And we cannot wait to hear more of what Adina Doss has to share with all of us.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone. Ciao
Bye.
for now.
Yay.
Bye.